This overview and scrutiny meeting on Thursday, the 29th of January 2026. It's now 7 p.m. and I would like to start this meeting. I would like to draw your attention to the evacuation procedures which can be found in the agenda under Information for Members of the Public and Councillors section. I would like to remind you that under the Overview and Scrutiny Procedure Rules, Part 1, Paragraph 10, as set out in the Constitution, this meeting shall have a maximum duration of 2.5 hours. Therefore, if at 9:30 there are items remaining, the agenda item under consideration will be concluded within 10 minutes, followed by a vote, and items not yet considered may be deferred to a future meeting. I would also like to remind everyone present that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded for publication on the Council's website. Right, so item 1 on the agenda are apologies for absence. Lucy, who have we got tonight that can't make it?
So we've had apologies from Councillor Maney, Councillor Cecil and Councillor Manwar is running late, but she will be here. Thank you. Thank you,
Lucy. Item 2 are the minutes. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on the 6th of January 2026 as outlined in the agenda are approved as a correct record. Approved, everyone? Right, thank you. Any comments on the minutes at all? No? Right, the minutes are approved. Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. Councillor Lydiard.
Thanks, Chair. There is one line in there that refers to leisure finances, and I just wanted the committee to understand that I'm a board member on Thurrock Community Leisure.
Thank you, Councillor Lydiard. So I know that you've got a
item 8, procurement. I've got an interest in me as scrutiny board.
Thank you, Sue. I think for that one, by all accounts, you need to go outside, don't you? So, okay, thank you. Item 4 on the agenda, unplanned security items, members' right of reference. I have not been notified of any unplanned scrutiny items or members' right of reference. So that leads us on to the item 5, which is Q2 financial outturn for 2025-26. You can find this on pages 13 to 44 of the agenda. Can I ask Seema to present the report, please? Thank you. No, Seema's up there. There you go.
I'm all the way up
here. Hello, Seema.
Hello.
Such a long way down.
Thank you, Chair. Next slide, please. So the general fund revenue position for place at Q2 shows a 0.933 million underspend against a 37.280 million budget. This is a reduction of 0.169 million reduction on Q1 position due to the delivery of efficiencies in service areas. The position assumes drawdowns from reserves of 3.690 million. The report provided to you provides explanations for movements from Q1 for each of the service areas. Next slide, please. The housing revenue account, HRA, shows a balanced position at Q2 after a transfer from the Housing Zones Funding Reserve of 0.447 million for feasibility costs for development projects. Next slide, please. At Q2, there are no unachievable savings for the Directorate. The saving that was unachievable at Q1 has moved from unachievable to mitigated at Q2. One saving has moved from at risk to mitigated during Q2, and 3 risks have moved from on track to mitigated. Next slide, please. That's it, sorry. Against the General Fund capital budget for 2025-26 of 61.648 million, forecast slippage against place projects is 21.428 million or 35%, and schemes releasing funding is 0.272 million or 0.4%. The HRA capital budget is anticipating slippage of 25.422 million, 42%, against a budget of 35 1.546 million, and a further update will be provided to place overview and scrutiny in the Q3 report. I open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you for your report. One of the things I picked up on was repairs and maintenance. It's got an overspend of 1.167 million, forecast at Q2, which is an increase from Q1 of 0.978 million. In the peer review stated that there was, in their opinion, there was insufficient investment in repairs and maintenance, which in their opinion could compromise home quality and tenant safety, as they put it. They further state that expenditure on repairs and maintenance appears to be relatively low in relation to total expenditure, and in the absence of full-stop condition survey, it's not possible to confirm whether this is sufficient to sustain the decent home standard. So I'm just wondering, what is being put in place? How are council going to balance the funding needed for housing repairs and maintenance, and yet obviously control the overspends, because you know this is a biggie, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. There is a 1.167 million overspend on repairs and maintenance, and that's mainly due to one-off factors and budget issues, which I can confirm have been corrected in the 26-27 budget build. There are three key variances contributing to this overspend, and that is primarily the capitalisation budget, which had not been adjusted in this financial year. That has now been rectified in 26-27. Expenditure on stock condition surveys, which we have now built into the new budget, and legal cost overspend on disrepair claims. So we've been working quite hard on the budget for 26-27. We've made sure we've realigned all of the budgets on housing, and they are now all realigned for 26-27. We have now got detailed budget monitoring meetings in place between housing repairs, maintenance, service and finance, to ensure that the expenditure is in line with the budget allocated, and any overspend can be identified very early on and corrective action taken wherever possible.
Thank you, Seema. So what you're saying, that the disrepair claims, legal cost, I mean, they are cause of concern for council. You're putting in measures to basically stabilise the cost to council and try and keep it within some time frame budget and still meet the demands, obviously, of the claims.
Yeah, and I can confirm that legal disrepair costs have come down since 24-25. In 24-25, they were 376k, and they've come down in 25-26 to 322k. We actually have a table of all the statistics, all the data on those, and we can provide that to scrutiny if they require.
Thank you. If members have any questions to Seema. No? Claire.
Just to add in as well, as part of the housing improvement work that we're carrying out, we also procured an external provider, Campbell to Kell, and they've carried out a deep dive review of the HRA, which you'll see in the report that Mo produces. So we've looked externally to sort of see what we're doing and how we're managing our HRA, and they've fed back information into that, which has helped us set a more realistic 26-27 baseline budget for the HRA.
I suppose, just being a little bit nosy, I just wonder what was the cost for the peer review to council from the LGA, and also I'll ask that one first, and if you can answer that first, Seema, thank you.
Yeah, the LGA peer review cost us 26k. The Campbell Tickell costs were £36,662.50 to be exact. And we've got Pennington Choices. They're going to be coming in to do a compliance check, and that will be 19.6k.
Not great deals of money for the in-depth work that they do, I suppose. And bearing in mind that council basically invited them in to do this review, which is a good thing because we all know we've got issues in housing department. So, the other thing was local plan. It's 2,139,000. Is that the total cost, or would there be unforeseen cost added to that?
No, so we incur costs of the local plan. It comes out of the local plan reserve. So we monitor the local plan reserve on a monthly basis to make sure there's enough in the local plan reserve. And then what we'll do at the financial year end is we will top up or put more into the reserve at the financial year end based on actual expenditure. So we can balance the reserve at the financial year end.
So how confident are you of council of achieving the savings target of 2,725,000 for place? How confident are we of keeping it?
With no unachievable savings in place, very confident. So we're working very closely to make sure even the at-risk savings are delivered by the financial year end. Well, they have to. And none of them will be carried forward into 26-27.
Thank you. Sorry? Oh, Claire, go on.
Can I just add into that as well, Chair? So last year we overachieved on our savings as well. So whilst we may be using the language that we're underspending, if you see the underspend on the bottom line, that's actually in-year efficiencies that we're delivering over and above the savings. So I think we just need to be a little bit careful sometimes about the narrative and language we're using, because when there is an underspend on place, it is actually, in the majority of the time, in-year efficiencies that have come up throughout the course of the year.
Thank you for clarifying that, Claire. One other thing, I like the idea of these PIV units that help reduce mould and damp, which also will reduce the cost to council in repair costs. I just wonder, how long's that trial going on for? And, I mean, there's funding, that's funded, isn't it? This is what I'm saying, it's funded. Is there a contingency to if this works out well, to basically find some funding within council, or do we have to rely on outside funding?
Thank you, Chair. There is, the trial period continues and we're collecting the data. Obviously we installed the positive input ventilation systems where they're suitable for the property and with the residents' consent as well. We need at least 6 months data because it is changing seasonal weather, changing home temperatures and such like. So we need to have some longitudinal data to see how effective they are. Initial feedback we've had from some of our residents that they do like the way they work. They don't take too much energy to operate as well. They are funded within our existing budget as a part of the budget setting exercise, a dedicated work stream to tackle damp and mould condensation within our properties. For the year 26-27, we have dedicated budget lines to increase the amount of PIVs installation should we need to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Seema. And I know you're always in earnest of doing good work to watch the council's finances, and you bring some good reports to this committee, and please may you continue to do so. Before I move on, is there any questions from members on the money side of... No? Seema, they don't want to talk to you. I'm sorry, but there you go. It was just me, so hopefully that was okay. Right, so with that, the recommendations, that's this one here, 5, isn't it? Recommendations, note the general fund revenue forecast position for place and the HRA at Q2 presented in this report. Note the update on the delivery of savings for place and the capital programme monitoring at Q2, page 13, agenda item 5. Note the position of general fund earmarked reserves for place and HRA reserves at Q2. Are we all in agreement with that? Yep. Okay. Thank you. So with that, we'd like to move on to item 7. Is that right, Lucy? Item 6. Item 6. There you go. I'm going to skip. There we go. Our place proposition. Can I ask Councillor Watson to present this, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for putting this on the agenda. As Thurrock moves closer to the local government reorganisation and to become part of the unitary, it is critical that the identity and the aspirations of those who live and work here in this borough are clearly articulated going forward, and that is not lost in the transition of when we join a bigger borough, to form a bigger borough. It is also important to recognise that the authority is responsible for the areas and is the ones that know the best place of here in Thurrock. We are the ones that are leading the way in the articulating a vision for Thurrock, and we do not want to wait to be asked to do so, which we will do at a later stage. The place proposition is an ambitious proposal to a future mayoral strategic authority, as well as the unitary authority. It sets out Thurrock's key opportunities and challenges. It maintains a focus on outcomes and evidence, but it also sets a really bold vision for us in Thurrock. The proposition builds on numerous adopted council plans and strategies, as well as those of partners looking beyond the time of existing proposals and setting out opportunities over the next generations to come. Central to a place proposition are the 5 core principles around which a series of opportunity intervention have been framed. So you will see them within the document. Leveraging of Thurrock's location. We live on the river. We're also part of Greater Essex, and there are some real golden opportunities for the river. We are next door to London. We are not going to be part of London, but we are one of the gateway into London and out into Essex. Valuing Thurrock's industrial heritage, recognising the importance that this industrial plays in the history of this borough and in our economy, but also the negative impacts it has on our residents in the past and maybe in the future. Supporting Thurrock's diverse business space. We have a really large SME, and we're considering how best we need to support them to remain and grow within the borough. We want to create a vibrant, affordable and accessible community, building on things that residents like most value about Thurrock, such as families, open spaces, good retail and the connections into London and to the wider Essex. Unlocking growth opportunities in part of the borough that has capacity and taking an approach that delivers necessary services and amenities alongside housing. So it's very much along the infrastructure that goes alongside housing, Chair. We want to deliver the transport infrastructure required to power that growth. It is recognised that we have strong foundations in our transport infrastructure, but it's no longer fit for purpose, and it's how we make that fit for purpose. The place proposition is not a strategy, it is not a delivery plan, rather it is a proposal for what could be achieved in Thurrock in the years to come. It's intended to set out a level of ambition and to invite conversations. The interventions included within the place proposition are necessarily complex, they're multi-layered, and will require the resources of a range of actors and agencies. Not everything is within the gift of us or local government, or even central government. But by following through on the principles and working alongside partners, a new unitary authority will have the opportunity to deliver transformational change for the residents and businesses across Thurrock and the wider region. The proposition already incorporates extensive feedback from residents, businesses and partners, and we've begun further consultation with key stakeholders to seek what their views are as well as yours. I'm really keen this evening to get your feedback on this place proposition, in particular around the opportunities and challenges you feel we genuinely will reflect Thurrock and that we are setting the right level for Thurrock and for future generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watson. Thank you for your report. We need to promote Thurrock, and let's be honest, we are in a unique position, as you say, on the river, close to London. We have 3 international ports. I also think Thurrock's got historic places. We've got 2 historic forts, even got an Art Deco cinema sitting here, and I don't think we promote Thurrock enough with these well, you know, it's definitely Coalhouse Fort for sure. And what I would like to see on that, really, is also delivering transport infrastructure, which we know is needed. We've said that all along, how can these ports operate when the road network isn't good enough to but like, for instance, think about hospitals in the future as well, you know, delivering the healthcare required for the increase in population, which Thurrock will have. Any questions for members to Councillor Watson? Oh, we got... Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for your report. Obviously, very well put together. I suppose, I don't know if this is a question or more of an observation. I think yeah, there's a lot of work to do in certain areas. For me, I think sometimes, certainly on planning, I can sometimes get disappointed with how the council reacts to certain applications. I'll give you an example. We had a brilliant, well, I thought it was brilliant, scheme last week in sort of Corringham. And there was initially a plan from the developers to potentially install a train station, and it sort of just fell off the radar. And I think that's an area where we can do better, because when I asked the officer, you know, why are we not pushing for this train station, effectively there was a bit of pushback from Network Rail, but you're always going to get that. I think if developers are approaching us with good infrastructure, then we really should push to try and get that included in the project. So I think that's one area we can improve. Again, I'll say I've mentioned these facing slips before. I know we've really worked hard to try and get that. I know the last time we spoke about this, there's no money. I don't think that should fall off the radar. I think if we can keep that, we could at least ask new governments, new ministers, you know, just keep asking, is there any opportunities here? I think it's a national infrastructure project. And then there's two other ones. I think Tilbury Youth Zone, we approved this at planning a good couple of years ago now. There's a huge amount of private funding for that. I think DP World were putting up $1 million. I'm not sure whether that's progressed much. I would have thought that you know, we should continue to try and push for that. I think it's a good news story for Tilbury, and especially if a large amount is coming from private sources. And then lastly, it would be the Lower Thames Crossing and the opportunities that could bring. Initially with the Lower Thames Crossing, there was a link road going into Tilbury Docks. Now, that's now off the menu, but I think we could continue to push for that. We know the Amazon, I call it the Amazon roundabout, it's already heavily under pressure. You have Tilbury 1, Tilbury 2, and I think we've got a site visit coming up for Tilbury 3. Now, we're told we can't install the road because it's not needed yet, but I think in reality, this is where we sometimes go wrong. We don't put this stuff in prior to it being a problem. So I think it's just little things like that. I think if we can improve on that, and I suppose just your observation on, you know, can we, you know, if developers are approaching us, can we just go the extra mile and see if we can get this stuff in, such as the Corringham station. I think it would have been needed. I think it will be installed probably in about 20 years' time. I think if we can get in there early, it would be better. That's it really. Other than that, yeah, I think it's a good bit of work. Thank you.
Do you want to respond, Councillor Watson? Some good points there. Very good points from Councillor Kelly. Thank you.
I always wait for Councillor Kelly to come to anything like this, or the lower plan, or the local plan, because he takes a real big interest in it. And I thank him for that. That's what he's here for. So first of all, in terms of the healthcare situation, we are in conversations with NHS and the ICB, because it's not recognised just within the place proposition, but also across all the development that it has come side by side. And this is our ambition as how we want to go forward, and it also has some elements of the local planning, as you know, and that will be coming on the 9th of March. So I'm looking forward to that to come here. In terms of Lower Thames Crossing, we are working really close with them to unlock the skills bases that they can give to us, and they are able to employ some of our people. So they're willing to train people within Thurrock to work in Thurrock on the Lower Thames Crossing. And I think I've come to the situation with Lower Thames Crossing is, no, we don't want it. We never want it, but it's going to happen. So I'm going to manipulate for everything I can possibly get for the people of Thurrock. Also, in terms of, you mentioned Network Rail. We've actually started to get a really good reputation with Network Rail. They, unfortunately, they drag their feet a bit, and they can take ages. They've got their own programme of works, and they've also got their own timeline. But we've been working really hard with them, especially around East Tilbury area, because I don't know if anybody knows it, probably you do, Councillor Kelly, but DP World is got the most 10% of freight that goes all over the UK, which is more than any other all the way on the route network they need to go. So they're working really closely with us on that at the moment. I can't think of any more questions you asked, but obviously we can answer whatever you want, or I've got Patrick or Jamie here, quite happy to ask.
Yeah, I think for me, there was just a few bullet points there. I think if we can keep east facing slips sort of on the radar, and potentially look at Lower Thames Crossing, see if we can get the link road in, and then maybe an update on the Tilbury Youth Zone, but that can all come back in email. The Corringham station, yeah, it's a bit too late now, but I suppose that's more of a sort of an emphasis that if developers are coming to us, we really need to sort of, you know, they would have probably paid for that, and it would have been of huge benefit. So it's just that really. But no, thank you. Happy with your responses there. Thank you.
Councillor Sisterson.
Yeah, it's a really, full, interesting report. I think the one danger, as far as I see it, for people living in Thurrock, we don't want to be so dominated by logistics and motorways and HGVs that takes over our quality of life, and so all the jobs are in logistics. So I like the emphasis on the small and medium enterprises, and I think that's to be encouraged, so we've got more of a wealth of opportunities and not just in the sort of logistics zone. And also I want to ask a bit about the regional bus rapid transport or mass rapid transit. How do you envisage, what shape are you envisaging that might take? Is that what you think? Yeah.
So in terms of the trams, we've had a couple of conversations already with Kennex about having trams in different areas. One of the biggest challenges within Thurrock is actually the roads we have. We have roads from 1920s. So if you go and try and put a tram down London Road, it's not going to go very far. So the problem we have, the issue we have here, is how do you run a tram line through Thurrock on the network that we've already currently got? And I think that is going to be the biggest issue. So if you go Grays Riverside or West Thurrock, that London, you're not going to go any further than that. It's not going to be realistically happen with that. So if we are going to look at this in the future, we've got to look at developments or new-come developments that is able to have that network, to have a tram there. I would love us to be like Manchester and Croydon, but unfortunately we're not, because I really like the idea of getting on a tram. But at the moment, they are, even in government, though they're promoting them, they're quite low-key at the moment, because I think everybody wants them, but we're not sure about how you get them on the network with a car. So we will carry on, though, because it's part of the climate, like the green agenda as well.
Okay, yeah, thanks. And obviously it was an interesting prospect as a sort of alternative even to the Lower Thames crossing. And it's really interesting, but I get that it's obviously very expensive and difficult. So I would be interested, yes.
Thank you. So that section of the place proposition draws heavily on the draft transport strategy that, as you'll know, was developed relatively recently. So alongside sort of consideration of trams is also looking at bus rapid transport, which is obviously a more, relatively more affordable way of providing additional public transport. And so there are proposals within the draft transport strategy that look at a sort of regional bus network that could be implemented, at a lower cost than a tram, for example, which might come later on.
Thank you. Can I just come back?
Yeah, carry on.
Because it's sometimes the transport system doesn't integrate very well. So the buses, a lot of them might come to Grays or Lakeside, but then if you go to Lakeside on a bus, it's not easy to get to the train station and things like that. So, I'd welcome if that was all incorporated. Thank you.
I believe there was mention, what you say, Kathy, trams round Lakeside at one time, little trams and things there to take them in. So you're not far away from what you were saying. I think Councillor Kelly touched on a very major point, which is that the Tilbury Link Road as such, the original plans, that road was there. And then for some unknown reason, they took that road away. And we know that, now the traffic is going to have to go up the A13 on the new wide bit of road that's been widened. It's going to have to come round the roundabout, back down, has to go down Dock Road. Now, the point being is that DP World carried out a traffic modelling on that roundabout. And it's future modelling as well for traffic coming out for Thames, Freeport and Enterprise Park, what's going to be. It probably didn't incorporate all the traffic coming that needs to go to Tilbury. So I really do think we've got, Councillor Watson, we've got to push for that. Somehow our officers have got to, I can't understand why they took it away in the first place when it was there in the plans, number one. And it isn't like it isn't needed. It is needed, you know. Do you want to respond?
Yeah, okay. I don't know the reason why they took it away at all, but what I can tell you about DP World is that, as you well know, one of the issues going at East Tilbury is a level crossing down because the freight of DP World is 8 hours a day. Well, DP World in 2 years can go up to that level crossing being down 12 hours a day and more, because that is how much they want of freight. They want to take off the road network to put on to the rail network. So so they definitely are well aware of all. That's the reason why they want to take some of the stuff off of the roads, for that very reason. So it stops us being congested so much. And the other thing as well that I know that Councillor Kelly, as long as I've known Councillor Kelly, he's been fighting for, and I've got to admire him for the fight of it, is the Lakeside, the A13 slip road. And I don't know why that ever came up, because, but it hasn't, and there's no room for it. I don't know what the design is, it was pre-me, but that's something else that I don't know whether Highways England can look at and say why we're doing it. But I must admit, I've got to give him his due. He's been on that for years, haven't you, the network? So we will try as much as we can, Councillor Jones, but when I've gone, this needs to continue as a legacy for us all in the new unitary. Well, you never know what. I could pass that. You never know. I could be hit by a bus next week.
Don't know.
Who knows? But don't do that. It's by-election. So anyway, so I'm just saying, like, this should be for years to come, for future generation, up to 40 years or whatever, and I'll probably be dead by then. But yeah.
Well, I'm on this committee for a while, so don't go away yet anyway. Yeah, the other thing with DP World, they always say they want to put stuff on freight, but there's only so many freight slots, you know, on that line. It's a very busy line, so they're limited to what they can do. So they do need a clear road network, probably more so because they're not going to get them freight slots. They've already said that. Any other questions to Councillor Watson on the report? Councillor Cherry.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a few questions on this document, and if there's anybody else who's got questions to ask as well, I don't want to ask them all in one go. So, first of all, I support that we'd need more assistance at DP World to get more traffic on the railways. And is it too late for the Lower Thames crossing to incorporate a rail crossing? Because I think it does mention in this document, in the future, having an over-the-Thames rail crossing. And if the tunnel's being built, it'd be a good idea to do it all in one go. And talking about your diverse business base here, this document mentions London a lot and government a lot, and I think it's really preparing us to become part of London in the future. But it's looking for us to provide housing for London and small businesses. Is it fair then? Do you think this government is being fair to small business in the sense of the restrictions it's putting on small business, the costs, extra costs, what with business rates, national insurance contributions, energy costs? Because I was speaking to a gentleman today in Thurrock who said years ago you could leave one job in Thurrock and then walk and get another job the same day, and that's not what it's like now. Will it be like that in the future? I don't think it will be with the government's the way the government's treating small business. What's your comment?
Does anyone like to answer, Councillor Cherry?
Thank you. A couple of things there. First of all, in terms of national insurance costs and everything, well, I'm not the Chancellor and I'm not the government, so I can't ask where that's going to go. The second thing, if you speak to my mum, she will tell you that, yeah, she used to walk out of one job and go into another job, and maybe 2 or 3 in one day. You know, that's the way it was going to be. But times have changed, technology has changed. I mean, if you go back like 30 years ago, there was no mobile phone. There is now. There was DOS like as like a program, and now you've got Apple and some AIs and everything else. People have to move with the times because the world is changing and the world is moving, and England can't be sitting there not going back. So please don't interrupt. So the other thing about, you keep bringing up about London, you can't not recognise London is sitting in London. You cannot say that's not London on our doorstep. We border London Borough of Havering. It's a London borough. Thurrock has no plans to go into London. Thurrock has not mentioned in government of any plans to go into London. Thurrock is going to be under an Essex mayor, so it is going to remain Essex. If you go to Dagenham, the London Borough, and they want to know why they're still called Essex. But they're London. We will remain as Essex. You can't also turn your back on the fact that we are gateway to London and we're gateway to Essex. So if you want to go to Southend and you live in Newham, you've got to go through Thurrock to get there. If you want to go the other way round, you've got to go through Thurrock to get there. We are on the Thames. We have a unique position of being on the Thames, and we should abuse the fact. And why not? If we can't take money from London and still remain as Essex, which we are, I'll welcome that. If I've got people that wants to come out here and use our shopping centres and want to work out here, then fine. If I've got people who wants to come and live in Thurrock, then that's okay too. And it's natural migration. I'm from Stepney Green. I then went to Dagenham, and now I'm in Thurrock. Does that mean because I'm in Stepney Green, I should stay in Stepney Green? So I just think that there's so much Thurrock's got to offer without being or even dressed up as, are we going to be London, or maybe we will be London, and if we be London. We're not going to be London. We are still Essex. But that doesn't mean that Thurrock can't shine and Thurrock can't have a place in Essex as being the jewel in the crown, because that's what we are as far as I'm concerned, and that's why I'm promoting this, to make sure we are.
Thank you, Councillor Watson. Councillor Cherry, do you want to respond?
Thank you. It's very emotional. London is looking at our green and pleasant spaces to develop, and it's already been mentioned, Basden Hospital can't cope. There's nothing in this plan, nothing I read in here about a new hospital. Nothing at all. Nothing about the needs we're going to need for the future, for more surgeries to help the people, the growing population of Thurrock. And you've even got Havering now, who's will be trying their damnedest to leave London, to not be part of London, and to get themselves back to Essex. So I think they're going to be making it very, very clear where they think their future lies. But I get the impression here that we're being set up for London to move in, take over, with all the bad things of London. And I'm talking about the ULEZ zones and things like that. So another thing you raised in here was, why are Thurrock homes not as expensive as other homes around the London Borough? And you mentioned Gravesend, I think, in this report. And I think one of the reasons why is because over the successive leadership of this council, the cleanliness, the tidiness, and the way Thurrock has been presented, we've all been let down. And I can't see anything in this document that's going to make it any better. We've got
You have your question, Councillor Cherry, please.
What are we going to actually do to make Thurrock a better place that we can do now? And I'm talking about the graffiti, the litter, the drug use that goes on down along the Thames that you say is such a great place. There's no enforcement. Cars parking on our green verges, ripping up the grass. The place looks a mess. So what are you going to do about it now? And instead of hoping that London coming this way will be the inspiration.
Councillor Watson, do you want to respond?
So, first of all, the river is not anything to do with Thurrock Council. The river actually is a PLA. So, They're the PLA. We can't go down there and decide to jump in their river and to start messing around with what we want to do and scrub the sides of their we'd be done for transparency. Secondly, this side, I understand that, but also there is graffiti down there that's been done on purpose as well. We've got some proper graffiti artists. If you go down to Purfleet, they've been doing it down there that have actually done that voluntarily with the community. So there's ways of doing stuff. Ripping up the grass verges, well, when those places were originally built, the cars weren't where they are now. You know, I had one car, one house. It's not like that now. You know, you have 2 or 3 or 4 cars per house. So things are trying to move, and that's not even under my portfolio. But I can ask Claire that question. She can answer you about, you know, the grass verges and things like that. I think you need to get away from the fact that you keep going on and on and on about us being London and preparing for London. Whether you like it or not, people for London already live here. People from Thurrock commute into London. That's why people live in Thurrock, because they commute into London. We have got the biggest small businesses across Essex, and we need to support them. We've got the biggest ports, international ports. DP World is the biggest in Europe, here in Thurrock. And we should be proud of that. But instead of you being proud of that, Councillor Cherry, all you keep doing is going on about, we're going to join London. Well, have a bit of pride yourself, because it's civic pride. Have a bit of pride yourself and think about how this could go, because as a council and as councillors, we can make this happen. So I'm just saying to you right now that this is the place proposition for years to go. I'm asking you, I've come to scrutiny because that's what it's for. I honestly didn't think I was here to justify if Thurrock's going to go into London or not, because we're not. We'll find out at the end of March who we're going to join with, and it's not with London. And so I think just take it and be proud of where we are at the moment and represent your residents and move forward. And as for hospitals, I have to be really clear here. It's not that Councillor Hooper sits in untimed meetings now going on and on about, we need GPs in the area, we need healthcares in the area, we need IMCs in the area, we need a new hospital, keep all open. He does that day in, day out. But at the end of the day, building a hospital is not a council's responsibility. It is not at all for us to go out and tell the NHS, you've got to build an hospital. They build the hospital, they put the things in it, and they make it work. And what else it's all in, whether people like it or not, or whatever, the local plan's coming in on the 9th of March, and in that, the ICB has been asked to come forward and put their projections down. Because we've told them, thanks to and you're part of the local plan steering group, what you would like to see in that plan, and how that's been incorporated into that plan. They're well aware of that, and we've told them to come up with how are they going to mitigate what that plan will be. So instead of beating us up about closing hospitals, we need to be absolutely crystal clear here, Councillor Cherry, because I think you're not, but everybody else is, that this council does not build hospitals or runs hospitals. That is down to the NHS. Thank you. Sorry, Chair, for being so long.
No problem, Councillor Watson. Councillor Cherry, I'm going to bring this part to a close now, unless you've got a very quick question, because we've got quite a bit on the agenda tonight, and I don't want to keep on labouring the point. This is a place proposition to put forward, you know, the good things that we have got. And we have got some good things, and you know, we've got to promote Thurrock, and you know, there is many issues, you're quite right, but I think you'll go any council and they've got the same issues. It's widespread. You know, you talk about drugs, you talk about that, that's everywhere. No matter where you go, you get this. So, you know, what we're looking at is what we got, promoting what we got, and we've got a lot. And the idea is for us to be supportive and try and add some points to this, if we can, like I did, for instance, hospital at the beginning. I've always spoke to Councillor Watson. I always say, what is the equation of population that equals getting an hospital? It's a question, is that quite correct, Councillor Watson? We spoke about this many a time. You know, to my mind, we've only got one hospital between a couple of boroughs, and that's the Basildon, and we know it's overloaded. But so I always ask that question, and I have done at Health, and no one seems to come back with an answer, because I don't think there is an equation for that. But that's probably a route that we could go down. So you're right to bring the hospital up as something that will be needed. Now, I've got a couple of other people that like to come in. Councillor Manoir, you've come in late and you've been sitting patiently with your hand, so you go.
Thank you, Chair. And I apologise if this question was asked before I arrived, but it's regarding Principle 2 about valuing Thurrock's industrial heritage. And it mentions that there's problems with finding staff, particularly to do with construction and manufacturing. And my question relates specifically to Tilbury, because I heard at one point that there was going to be some sort of training facility in Tilbury for people. I was just asking if there's any update or timeline as to when we could expect that.
Councillor Watson, yeah, I know you
So part of the Thames Crossing to bring up is they want a skills hub here into Thurrock. And what they're preparing to do is to take young people, or anybody actually, who wants to train or retrain or get a qualification, and then the end product out there, they like them to work on the Lower Thames Crossing. And they're really promoting women in construction. So, and young people in construction, because they're recognising that that is sort of like a dying trade, and they want to start building it back up again. So if they can get the skills up and running, it will be predominantly aimed at Thurrock young people and Thurrock people, adults as well, in this borough.
Claire, would you like to come in?
If I could also add into that, Councillor Manoir, following on from some of the conversations and comments about DP World, so it's quite timely. Myself and the Chief Exec meet with DP World on a monthly basis. So we met with them today in the London offices, and we were discussing about widening out the concept of the Skills Hub. I don't know if anybody remembers Newham and how they prepared for the Olympics, and there was a one-stop shop where skills were developed, and then you went there, and that's where you recruited your staff. So we're looking to develop, alongside some of our major operators in the borough, a one-stop shop where local people can go, where they know if they want to get a job in construction or frontline work and things like that, they can go there, they can get the skills, get skilled up to where they need to be, then they will go into an employment. Just going back to a comment that Councillor Cherry made, following discussion with DP World today, they have a lot of jobs that they can't fill by local people, and they're struggling to fill some of these jobs that they're more than willing, and some of these jobs are in the region of £80,000. They're HGV drivers and things like that they can't fill at the minute, and they've been struggling to fill them with local people. Yes, it's shift work. Yes, it might be unsociable hours, but we were quite alarmed today when they've said they're really struggling to fill some of these jobs. They want local people in these jobs. So we're going to try and work with them, promote those jobs, and promote that training and availability. But with all of these big developers, all these big partners that are coming to this borough, we are now stamping and sort of making it sort of very sort of clear, and Councillor Watson's doing that's part of the work that she does, local jobs for local people in the first instance, and ensure that we're filling that gap with skills. We're working with the college, but we don't just want this to be about one employer in particular. The big employers are willing to come to the table, they're willing to work with Thurrock and with members to make sure we put local people first and upskill our people so they can get those jobs.
Thank you, Claire. I'm just going to bring Councillor Kelly in, and I'm going to draw this to a close, because otherwise we're not going to get all the items done. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. So this one's in relation to growth and the Planning Committee and the decisions we've made recently. Obviously, the new grey belt policy has come in, and we're trying to get our heads around that. And I think testament to the Planning Committee, because we have been approving a huge amount of schemes. However, because of this policy change, there's been some large-scale schemes that has also been rejected against officer recommendations. I think the concern there is, whether we like it or not, is if they go to appeal, there's a chance we could lose on appeal, because the appeal inspector is going to be pretty much reading from the same hymn sheet as the officers. And with that would then come sort of concerns over Section 106 loss. And obviously, if developers are coming to us with large-scale affordable housing, and they're seeing their schemes get rejected, there may be some concern that they put away from Thurrock. So the grey belt policy has worked, because, and another thing I've noticed, and it might be testament to officers and yourself, is that they're actually coming in with more than 50%. So I just wondered your general observation on some of the decision making, and that's not a pop at planning committee members because I know how hard it is, it's difficult, and to be fair, they have been approving a lot. It's just whether these big schemes, when they're getting rejected, they're going to appeal. Is there any sort of concerns there from yourself or officers going forward? Any question?
Ash.
Okay, for you, Chair. I think the best I can answer there really is at Planning Committee we produce the appeals report. Ultimately, it is within the gift of committee to make their decisions from an officer perspective, and my role as Chief Planning Officer, I have a duty to obviously advise the committee. And at each meeting, if I do consider that committee are going against officer recommendation, and there are a risk of certainly unreasonableness, then I will raise that at committee. I think if you look at the national picture, certainly Greybelt has changed the position in terms of decision making across the country. So it is much more difficult now for planning committees to refuse applications on Greenbelt grounds. And yes, if committees were to continually refuse decisions and they were unreasonable, then yes, we would have concerns. But we do identify that on the risk register. I think in terms of this report, that's probably not really a matter for this report. Obviously, this is more place proposition.
Thank you, Ash. Yeah, we could talk quite a while on that. Councillor Watson, can I ask you to be brief, please?
Sorry, just quickly, Chair, and that's it. So first of all, thank you for all of your your comments. I really appreciate them, and we can go away and look at some of them. And as I said, Councillor Kelly, 9th of March, I expect you with a whole list, because the local plan is coming there, and they're the places to have the questions with. But as you've been on the planning, local plan steering group as well, which thank you for that. I'm pretty sure that you've seen all the information and the evidence you need as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watson, and thank you for your report. I think we need to promote ourselves before we hand ourselves over as such, and the more we do that, the more maybe they recognise what they have got here, not just talk about our debt. Let's talk about how good we are. So that's a good report. So with that, recommendations, the place overview and scrutiny is recommended to consider the following questions. Does the place proposition feel sufficiently grounded in Thurrock and represents its unique attributes? Do the 5 key principles of the place proposition fully capture the breadth of growth opportunities within Thurrock? Is the place proposition ambitious enough? Do we agree? Yeah? Thank you very much. So with that, I'd like to move on to the item 7, our revised approach to climate change, and I believe that's Ashley, that's your one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So standing in for Councillor Kent to present this report to members. Cognizant of time, so I'll keep it pithy, so I'll take the content of the report as read. So just focusing on some of the fundamentals. So effectively, Thurrock Council established a climate change emergency in 2019. The original plans for that relied on resources that are no longer available. Obviously, there's been a significant amount of change at the council since that point. So fundamentally, the challenges that existed and that we've uncovered as part of our review are capacity, fragmented governance, and poor data. So in order to move this forward, we've been challenged by members, and Councillor Kent has very much been driving this forward. So we've focused on 4 pillars, effectively, and they're articulated in the report. So that's strategic realignment, so that's bringing multiple climate strategies into one coherent framework, which will be linked into the local plan, and we'll pick that up on the 9th of March. So obviously looking forward to that. And then pillar 2 is operational integration. So that's embedding the climate action into core services. So effectively within housing, planning and transport. Modernising our data. So that was kind of a big weakness. And then increasing capacity, and we've managed to do that through external funding. So effectively, there's no cost there to the council in taking this forward and implementing the work. So we're moving away and shifting away from the sort of binary net zero by 2030 interpretation. I want to focus more on continuous reductions in carbon emissions, energy use, and cost. And we'll use the 2019 as a baseline. There's some detail in the appendices which members can look at their leisure, and we can provide more details. We're just asking the committee to note the methods, and we welcome comments that we can take away, Chair. And before I conclude, just to introduce my colleague Gary Crooks, who's the lead within climate change, and will obviously assist with any questions that the committee have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ash. Have members questions? I knew Kathy would. I knew. I could put money on it. Councillor Sisterson, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, I welcome this. I think it's a good approach. I wouldn't... To buy carbon offset credits would have been a nonsense, really, and, you know, we don't want to use council funds for that. One thing, obviously, relating to planning again, I wonder how much we can incorporate into permissions for developments, that things like